and wait for the auto host to kick off. Just a reminder for those that happen to catch this before this afternoon, there is maintenance today. I think it said that it lasts around 4 hours, and then the shop part of it, of the site, like the website, would be an hour extra. Um, so just a heads up on that. Looks like we're good to go. Okay, so a couple of things to mention. Morning Bones, glad you could join. Um, is aside from the maintenance, is that next week, September 6th, we are expecting our next update installment for the game. It is called Homecoming, and if any of you have been following the forums, the Twitter feed, and the general news announcements from WildStar themselves, this is a housing update of, uh, I guess, fairly big proportion. We have the communities feature incoming. So there's been several big announcements. There's actually a pretty lengthy article covering all of the bits about it, that, you know, it's to allow multiple players to work in unison to create um, a bigger, more expansive type of housing setup. Um, I don't know if anyone's actually struck up an official guide. Um, but I know there was one that was based off of the PTR information. I don't know how up to date it is. I'll do a little bit more research and try and link up um, that on the Twitch channel page before next week. I can't remember who it was that was working on that, but I'll see if I can find some kind of a little mini guide or something to kind of give those that haven't been testing it um, some basic general information as to what the community's feature actually entails, how to go about getting involved in it, and all of that stuff. All right, Bones, thanks for the heads up. Sorry about your screen. It's kind of sad that it's dying. Anyway, at the tail end of the uh, the latest news drop for this homecoming update, there is a mention of a housing competition that they are going to be hosting. This is going to be an official competition, um, and it's going to be on a scale that they've not done before, according to them. They're going to be in the next few days, and it might already be up. I haven't actually looked to check and see. Um, and I haven't seen any tweets mentioning it, but they're going to be giving additional information as to how to register for the competition, and I guess all of the rules and regulations that will be involved. It does. I think there were some people that were confused, thinking that you have to have 5 players because it's a community. The communities allow up to 5, but it's actually, according to the wording, it says a team of up to 5 players. So if you only have a couple of friends that want to get in, so the trio of you could actually enter the competition. So I think that'll be more clarified once they get all of that information up. But sounds like something interesting for those that are into the collab work. I don't know how easy it will be for just anyone to hook up because, you know, there's time differences for everybody. But I would assume those that have already kind of formed some friendships via housing or through their guilds or something could probably more easily organize. That doesn't mean that others won't be trying to reach out for building partners or groups that they want to get involved on this. So I would suggest either giving a shout out on the housing zone chat, or maybe even dropping a message in the forums if you happen to be looking for a team, or have a team and are looking for additional members to join it, that kind of thing. But just keep in mind about the building system, and if you need to actually really be in close communication with your fellow builders. I guess it depends on what kind of how you're going to tackle the project as a whole. Um, you might want to make sure you pick someone that's going to be, at least online in some uh, small amount of time at the same time that you are, so that you can communicate better. But yeah, that's up to those that are organizing themselves. I don't have any immediate plans to start a community of my own. I have not been reached out to by anyone. Not that I'm actually looking for that. I just don't know if I have the time at the moment to really dedicate to such an expansive project. That doesn't mean I won't be interested if someone tempts me well enough. I don't have any ideas myself for a full-blown project of that sort. Um, but I know several players that have already kind of been building with a vision in their head towards that. So, like Siskwe comes to mind with her uh, rock theme and everything. But uh, I think it'll be something that more people will probably get involved in as time goes on. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of glitchy, buggy kind of stuff that's going to be active when it goes live next week. That might hamper a little bit of the enthusiasm that I expect. But I think it's as with any kind of an update, there's going to be some wrinkles here and there to, at least not be surprised if they show up. So as time goes on, I think people will get more comfortable with the concept of communities. And certainly once they start popping up and people really get into it, I will definitely be looking to showcase some of these communities. Now, it could be that it will be some plots that we've already actually toured individually, and then we'll be able to see how they've integrated them into a 5 plot community type of setup. Um, or it might be some totally new stuff. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Good morning, Poi. Glad you could join. I can't remember if I said hello or not. But to anyone else that happens to be lurking around, so happy that you could join us this morning. So yeah, I just want to give a heads up that the community system is going live next week. At least that is the plan. I expect there will probably be a pretty good maintenance downtime for that. Or maybe this week's maintenance is kind of in prep for that, and so it's going to be like a short downtime next week. I have no idea, but just keep in mind that uh, it's coming. There is a competition that you can get involved in. Again, we'll be on the lookout for that, and as soon as that's up, I will set up some links to that as well. So just be aware, and hopefully everybody has fun with it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out, how people blend in, if they're going to be looking for specifically, you know, I don't know how it's going to go. I haven't even been on the PTR. I haven't been taking any sneak peeks as to what folks have been playing around with. Um, so yeah, it should be interesting. You might be right about that, Bones. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different things. So, okay, so today we are back on Jabbit-EU. We toured some interesting entity plots last week, and so we are back on Jabbit. And this first one, it looks incomplete to me, but I suspect, just because of what I spied through some of the areas in here, that they're on the verge of or have already hit their decor limit. It kind of looks like this might be a plot that has been set up in prep for joining into an actual community, just because the edges have been left kind of pretty minimal or bare altogether. because that was one of the things that Carbine was talking about when they were wanting to get some sample plots put together for a little video they were talking about making. And a lot of people were talking about that when they would try and test their plots on the PTR, the edges, the borders of the existing plots had to be modified or remodeled a little bit to fit smoothly because there was a lot of bleed over from objects that would be on the original plot when it would like mess up as far as joining to the next one. So I suspect this one is probably in a good position to hook up with the other plots if it was to join a community. I don't know if that's actually the plan, but it looks like to be a good, what do you call it? I can't think of the word. Um, Sorry about that, Bones. At least you can listen to us. It's not going to be the same, um, but yeah, I think it'd be a good, God, I can't think of the word. Not participant, but anyway, I think it'd be a good plot that would be able to fit fairly smoothly into a community setup, just based on what people have said and some of the things that Carbine has mentioned about clearing off the borders. I think this would blend in pretty good. But even with it looking kind of bare and empty, let me tell you, this place has got some really nice, nifty ideas. Even the way they've set up the like sidewalks, cement parts, and the roads. I have no idea what this is. I suspect it's travel posters, like oversized ones. You can see that a little better back here. And then they've just overlaid floors on top of that, but I really am not sure how that goes. Preparation, no, I don't think that's the word I was looking for. Good, I can't think of the word. So I don't know what this is supposed to be, if they were planning maybe to make some faux buildings. Um, it's open on the back end, but it's completely empty, so I have no idea if the plan was to make some faux buildings and then having it blocked off so that you can't get to the other side. But again, it's left pretty open, so anyone's guess. And I know usually I prefer to go to finished plots, but there's just so many nice things about this one. I think it will inspire those that have been looking for certain ways to do especially those that are into the villages, towns, city type builds. This is a great example of different ways to set up shops and and that kind of thing. So even though it's incomplete, it's still worthwhile taking a look. And two, later we can see how it finishes up if they get to that point. Especially considering, like I said, you'll see what I'm talking about later. Just the amount of detail they put into certain things. I really wonder how much more they can do, how much space they have left as far as decor count placement goes. But this is like a weapon shop, an armory, however you want to say it. You can see that the majority of the building structure is the uh, reinforced walls with chua floors, and then of course the windows for the viewing. Some of the tables or cabinetry is hover part pieces, but these here, like the little display bits, those are the medical tables. Again, reminder, this is one of those items that has two different tables on the housing decor shop, uh, housing vendor. There's two different ones. One costs like 50 gold or 5 gold or something like that, and the other one's only like 50 silver or something. So go for the cheaper one. I think one's called like metallic table and the other one's like medical table or something like that. It's the same exact table, but it's just listed twice for some reason, and you always want to go for the But I like how it kind of emphasizes the different groupings of types of weaponry. You can see too that this player actually um, built their own weaponry using some of the shop signs. This is like the gun shop sign, and they've added, I can't think of the name of that, it's like a barrel full of danger or something, to make the base of it. And then it looks like, I'm not sure if that's just a strip of metal or something. I don't know what that is. But I like how they've made their own weapons. This one's made out of a suitcase, a reinforced wall. There's the Merv dynamite, that barrel full of danger again. The magnetized container, and it looks like some pillars or something for these little laser guns. And then for this one here, it's another one of the tanks. I think it's the propane tank with the detonator, the one with the little plunger. That's a silver keg. It looks like some sparking wires for this part. And so it looks like, what would you call that? Like one of them Gatling gun kind of things. So I've seen some people make even their own swords. They'll like dress up the handle or something a little different. But there's even a little weapon rack. There's actually a couple of weapon racks. I think it's Osun based. But this one's just a simple, it's got the reinforced walls as the bases of it, granite pillars, and then just have the swords stuck on there. You don't even have to add little hooky things. It's not necessary. The countertop here for the register and everything, again, is travel posters. Then you got the reinforced wall. Notice how they're using this wall. It's not just for the construction of the building. There's other features that it just gives you an idea of how that can be used for many different things. The register itself is just a cellar entrance, and then for the cover, Cassian floor. We've seen some go into having lots of little buttons and gadgets. The detonators and control panels and stuff are a big fave if you want to get a little bit more fancy. A few of us, including myself, have actually made it so it looked like there was the register was open and you could see money and that kind of stuff. So lots of different options. So that's like the armory shop. Back here we have a park. Nice and simple. Just got some fencing. Uh, Using the, I think it's the rusty or whatever fences, and then for the little separators for where the pathway is, that's just pillars. And notice how they've overlapped these. Now this is a little tricky because when you overlap something like this and you're trying to keep it fairly smooth, it can start flashing, but if you just offset it just by a little bit, it should alleviate that. And you can see this is a good example. But look how they've managed a nice little curve, even with these nice square pieces. Yes, there's some little lines coming off, but I think this is a pretty smooth job. Most, I think, rely on the curves, curvy pieces of like the hover park bits for some of their pathways. If you don't want to use this, there's also the Draken fences. Um, Turn them upside down. They have a nice textured look, a little bit of stone or some kind of rock. There is a bit of a pond. It's just a collection of different stones and then using the winding rivers, if I'm not mistaken. These, of course, are some of those steam gliders. I forget which decor pack that comes from. I want to say it's the waterfall decor pack, but I'm not positive. And probably the most notable feature of the park is the ice cream cart. They're a big fan of the color shifting, which gives you the very different flavors of ice cream. This is mostly Oran pieces, like Oran walls and cylinders and such for the cart itself, tires, and then of course the arcade banners. There's the arcade players, and then we had different kinds of banners and stuff, and they're using that as the adverts. Um, the ice cream itself, I believe, is sandbags that have been color shifted to pink and green. I think this is the cone dispenser, and it's just the emergency cone, and you just pop it out and then fill the cone up. Um, Pillars here, and then the register kind of follows the same theme as the one in the armory. The coffee caramel. The parasol on top, I believe that's a sparking wire for the base, and then of course the regular bowl for the parasol itself, which has been color shifted just to give it a little different look. I thought that was adorbs. That could be anywhere. You could have it in a little, if you want to do like a, a theme park, um, outside, just on the street corner in front of a gas station if you want. It doesn't have to be in a park. At a gaming field, if you have one of those. Notice they've got the travel posters here. This could have been another kind of little sign. They could have added drawers for supplies or something. There's all sorts of things. Now the park itself seems a little empty besides that, but you could easily envision maybe a little playground set or some benches for people to sit down, little flower beds that you could get really elaborate with, um, all kinds of things you could add to it. Hey Flood, good morning. Now the main house, to me it looks a little out of place, but it may be because they're uh, selling it off as like a Draken themed bar. The plot itself is called The Battery, and I guess I should mention who this is. It's Lynn Culverin, by the way, is the owner of this plot. So it looks a little funny because everything else is nice and boxy, but maybe that helps draw attention to this. If you are going to try and keep it more to this kind of flat roofed theme, I probably would have chosen a different prefab home, and then maybe it would be easier to cover because with the high peak of the Draken house, that might be a little difficult. Unless you do something like this and make it like a skyscraper type of look. Yeah, poor Bones is suffering from defunct computer equipment today. So here's the bar inside the Draken house. They're using a lot of the Red Moon bits for the stools, but the majority of it is Draken themed. Obviously, there's a lot of the horn pieces and the Draken fireplace and whatnot. Now, the fireplace itself, I think they've combined it with the Alop one because it looks like it has different innards here. And then, of course, the Draken fencing that I mentioned being used as paths for the park could also be used in this way, just having it lifted up a little bit so it's the bar itself. And then you have this lovely cabinet. This could be something in just a regular, like a residential home instead of a place of business. But it's all 2x4s, metal edge 2x4s, staircase landings, and hammers for all of the handles. But look at the amount of pieces used for filling that up. Crazy. And then down inside here is what I expect is the kitchen and the keg room. The keg shelf is just um, pillars. using some of those new chains. I don't know if it's called Osun chains or what. We had the regular hanging chains, which work just as fine, but these have this little connector, so it makes it look a little bit more realistic, as having a little bit of an attachment there to the meat. The little cutting board is just the flat metal table that's been sunk down into that bit. And this whole countertop, those are the Red Moon bars, I think. It's got that bright blue bit, and I think they've turned it upside down and used it there. I like the little tools here. They're using some of the swords as like knives. They've got the spade as like a little poker thing, and then the hammer for like tenderizing the meat. Back outside, and we'll head to the diner. You can see that they've made this, again, it's fairly simple, but I love how it looks. You've got the uh, travel poster for the roof, you've got oran walls for the majority of the structure, but then they've got it also banded with exile walls, just to give it a little different look. If you're wondering about the hedges, those come from the hedge decor pack. Uh, I don't remember the exact name of it, but there you go. The sign itself, I love. It looks very dated. You've got the word diner spelt out with those red moon lights. Do keep in mind, depending on what item you use and the distance you're picturing it, some of it does fade out just because of the size. Some items fade quicker than others. This one, you can see you have to get fairly close for it to be fully readable, but not too bad. You can still get a decent, full-on shot here. Others, you have to practically be right up in front of it before it shows up. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for something to make the sign. But the little sandwich plate is a cute idea for the food for the diner sign. Inside, we have that traditional checkerboard floor. Again, I think they're using just one giant travel poster for the base and then laying on the rest of the squares as oran floors. So it gives the illusion that there's like little black squares. The booths are Chua pillows inset with Chua stools to make them usable, which is a really clever idea. Very simple, but it looks pretty classic. Again, the arcade bits, those I forget what, it was some kind of event thing. There's the countertop, that's mostly travel posters, and then oran walls for the base. Got the same general setup for the cash register and stuff. Over here we have the fridge, which is, I think this is the back of a tablet computer with a hammer and then travel posters for the body of it. You've got the drink dispensers here. Notice this is being used like a little sign kind of thing. Hey Faye, good morning. For the little dispenser, I don't know if this is supposed to be coffee, ice cream, what, but it's got Chua cups, travel posters for most of that, hammers for the little levers, and then of course the graded shelf here. Over here, again, this is a big fave for using the travel posters where you actually see the prints on the other side. We've seen them for like vending machines, like drinks or sodas, little dispensers like this, magazine covers, that kind of stuff. The cutting board, I believe, is bottom of one of the crates. Stovetop, I believe these are one of the tanks. And then these parts, this part here is the graded floor panel, the back side. The same one I use for sidewalks and such. This up here, again, is travel posters and then hover part pieces to make it look like a vent over top of the stove. And then I love how they've got this little inset and using either the bubbling cauldron or one of the toxic barrels for like, I don't know if it's like, I think it's like the fryer oil is supposed to be. A lot of us like to use it for like nacho cheese and stuff like that, but yeah. Um, I probably would have caught on a little bit more that it's a fryer if maybe they made a little fryer basket using possibly either the graded shelf or like the netting shelf, like put 3 or 4 of those together to make a little basket, wire basket. But again, I don't know how limited they are on their decor count because again, you can see how much detail they're putting into all of these bits. Here's a little display case for their desserts. It's plates, curved glass, and it looks like a chewa cup. Pretty simple, basic, but it works really well. I don't recall where this comes from, but here we have the little dance floor, and then of course they have their own version of a jukebox. I've done my own jukebox way back when. We've seen several other versions. I love this one because it actually comes with its own little record player. Um, I don't know what this is from. I suspect it's from some piece that I just haven't seen. It looks like its own, maybe it's an actual jukebox piece from, I really don't know. But I think this part here is all part of the same thing. And then they've added in their other bits. So you have the curved wall, the hover part pieces, the Cassian bits. You've got the red moon bit here. Some of those lights, the same ones that they're using for the sign outside. And then some of those Soul Frost bits for the little decoration. Again, they're using the color shifting. But this part here, I'm honestly not sure where that comes from. Looks like a plate back there and some pillars on the ends. Oh, is that what it's from? Well, see, I haven't even opened my anniversary box. That's probably why. So Faye clarifies that this and the little turntable is from the anniversary thing for this year. Now, I didn't really go into detail about these little shop bits because it's basically just as is with some vendors stuck in. I like how they've actually added in the little crystal ball and stuff, even though you can't go inside it just because of the collision and everything. So there's the diner. Don't want to forget the waterfall here, the little fountain. It's basically uh, pillar pieces, winding rivers, waterfalls, and pillars. It's just oversized pillars here with the statue on top. We've seen a few people actually make their own statues. In fact, this one in particular, I think I remember one where they actually just added on the arms and body and stuff, finished building the statue itself. I thought was pretty clever. But notice how they're even putting the water out of this. There's not actually a hole there. It's just like a bolt or something on the end of the pillar, but they're using it as that's a clever idea, just kind of following along with how the item looks. So over here we have a classic gas station. Again, travel poster for the roofing. The rusty or clunky, junky fuel pump. Pillars, travel posters for the bases. I suspect anyone that's really good at building automobiles could have actually put up a car or truck or bicycle. Or I say bicycle, motorcycle, I guess would be a better term. Over here we have like a general store. Again, the counter is pretty much the same in the other shops using similar pieces. Shelving using a single floor, big enough so that it's working double time as both sides of the shelf. The wine rack, the sliding glass. And over here, a little bit more playing with the color shifting. I think it's the base of the soda cups, and they've just recolored them. Added in the garden hoses for the dispensers. And then down here, I think it's either a window or something, the base of a bowl for the little dispensers where the cups come out. And then again, using the travel posters as like the flavor descriptions or brand, whatever. Really nice, cute little setup here. Again, I don't think these actually give off any light. I've never been able to tell. But kind of like the gear lamp, I don't think it gives off any light either. I suspect they probably count towards the light limit though. And then over here you have the garage that goes with the gas station. It's pillars, travel poster, I think. And this is some kind of a, honestly, I don't know if they're like making some kind of a megabot or something, but he's up there welding on it. I can't say for sure what all of these pieces are. Some of them don't look familiar to me, but I think this is like one of the mining pieces. And then one of the new Red Moon lamps. I see some of the half wood, half metal barrels. This one here too. Some of the, it's not the reinforced walls, but it's like the barriers. It's like the metal version of a sandbag barrier. Merg dynamite for some of the joints here. And then I think this is the Ichthian chest, and they've recolored it to a gray or black and white. That's why it looks a little different there. And then they've added in some hanging wires and sparking wires to make it look like, you know, it's just a part of a bot kind of thing. Over here we have a little buggy. I thought this was some interesting use of the Arctera bones to kind of bling it out as like a little roadster kind of deal. So here's that Ichthian chest again in its natural color, the greenish yellow. Chua pillows for the seat, tactical table for the little screen here. You've got some propane tanks on either side. I see what looks to be like one of the wind chimes, the rusty wind chime. You've got the Red Moon vents, another skull piece, another set of tanks. Again with the mining bits, I think, the drill. These, I think, are some engine pieces. And then it looks like the controllers for like the little axles for the wheels there. Looks like the old-timey cartoon racers, like for grape ape and stuff. Captain Caveman. Showing my age there. But yeah, the little hot rod looks pretty cool. And there's the gear lamp. Again, I don't think it has gives off any kind of light. And then the last structure, I believe, is this one way over here. And it is the gym or workout place or whatever. Again, it's mostly travel poster for the roof. Notice they've got that extra lip. It's just another travel poster inset and just enough where you don't see the picture popping through. And it gives it a little different look to the roof there. I guess it's called the Squid Gym or something. You've got the boys and girls locker rooms, hammers and chew cups for the shower heads here. The exercise mats are just the tribal mats. We've seen some use the mattresses and then just sink it down so it's just the top of the mattress that you see. We've seen some of them color shift them to make them look a little different. These come from I think it's called the Far Trader Fab Kit. You can get, it says it's limited, but it refreshes every few hours or so you can collect both the flat version and the rolled version pretty quickly. Here, I guess these are like boxing dummies. I'm really not sure about that, but it's color shifted cylinders with a pillar, and then I think this is the base of the portable holographic, the round one. I imagine this is pretty loud. I don't have my sound on, so I don't really hear it, but the treadmills are pretty noisy. Both mat areas here are travel posters as well. Then you have the weightlifting here. These are sparking wires, travel posters, pillars, and tires. And then I don't know what this machine is called, but it's some kind of a lifting thingamabob. It's pillars mostly. You've got the Red Moon stool for the base, two of pillows. For the weights, it's the suitcases. This bit here, I suspect it's, I really don't know what that is. I want to say it's a sparking wire, but it doesn't look the right color. Maybe it's been color shifted. I don't know. Same way with these. This is the rusty wind chime, and then a couple of Merc Dynamites, and they've been color shifted as well. That's the one that you pull on and lift the weights, but I really don't know what this is. Looks like rope or something. I'd say it was like the hangman's noose, but I don't think many people have that. So there you go. There is the gym. So yeah, a lot of fine ideas. Again, it looks unfinished, but I suspect with just the amount of detail they're putting into so many of this, there's probably not a lot of room for growth. Those of you that have made these kind of expansive builds know where I'm coming from on that, as far as the more detail you put into a single part of it, the less you have for making detail elsewhere. So it's a kind of a give and take. You have to kind of decide, okay, how detailed do you want to go into certain areas? That's a little tougher to do effectively and still not make it look too empty. But again, I think candidate, that's the word I was looking for like hours ago. This plot, I think, is a good candidate for hooking up with a community that is like a 50s diner, uh, scenery town kind of thing. So yeah. So that's The Battery by Lynn Culverin. The next place we're going to go to is by, I'm probably not going to say this right, Tenebrau Uferlicht, I think, or Tenebrae Uferlicht. Oops. Sounds German, I think. It's called the Macalania Sky Beach RP, and if I'm not mistaken, any place you see Macalania in, it has to do with the German RP group. So I'm pretty sure that's who's got this all set up, and that's probably why the name sounds German. But you can see that they're doing that kind of whiteout for the base and the sides. If I recall rightly, that technique is using layered glass. How exactly they do it, how big it has to be, how many pieces they're using, I have absolutely no idea. But it's a super wonderful effect for those that are looking to get something different than just a square piece, you know, a piece of land, a little chunk of earth or whatever, earth. Nexus floating in space and then having to contend with the walls. I mean, you can see that they've clearly done a good job of hiding those pieces along the edge that everybody considers an eyesore. They've done a good job of disguising the entrance. I mean, you can't even see the ramp that would be there. So yeah, it's I don't know what stone they're using. I suspect it's the sandstone, same stones they're using here. I don't think the gray one works, or it's, yeah, I don't think the gray one, or maybe it's the gray one that works there and not the sandstones. I forget. It's one of them's hollow and one of them isn't. The hollow one you can use. The upside down little bits here, that's the barnacle beads. It's the same ones that I always talk about looking like chocolate, and I use it for candies and stuff. That's what they're using for these little mounds of earthy dirt under the palm trees. Again, it looks like it's just empty sky, but you can walk on it. It's solid. Um, but the way they've got the glass layered in, it like I said, the more glass you layer, the brighter it becomes to like a blinding whiteness. I think if you want like a perfectly solid white, it's like 25 layers or so. I don't know if that's what they're using here, but that's just from my experience of using the white frame glass for canvases for paintings. When I wanted to get it as solid white as I could, about 25 is how far I had to go. So it gives you an idea. So for the little islands, it's basically just the stones using overgrowth to make it look like there's vines and bits coming off of it. We've seen some of these little island builds with like the waterfalls coming off. We've seen some incorporate existing little floaty bits, like we have some of those, the ones with the loftite trees and stuff, they kind of move a little bit and it helps add to the illusion. Obviously these don't move because they're crafted them, you know, from scratch. But if you want some of that little extra bit, you'd have to use some of those. Notice too, they have the neighbors turned off. Gives that illusion that they're all up here by themselves. So the first little island we come to is Macalania Sky Beach, so everything's going to be sandy. To get this ground up above, again, remember you can use the upside down massive umbrella tree. You can use the Protostar Insta-Hills, but in this case, they're using the upside down snowy hills. I think those are the favorite because with the upside down umbrella, massive umbrella tree, you get the roots and the tree itself to have to hide. This, they can hide the bump of snow quite easily with the stones. Um, and then, of course, the upside down snowy hill is flat, as opposed to if you used the Protostar Insta Hills, those are all actual little hills that mirror the ground below. So we've got a little bit of a river. They're using the Grannoch, not Grannoch. Actually, I think that is this is the Chua mailbox, but that doesn't seem right. It has the little fish. I think it's the Grannoch one, to make it look like the fish is swimming in the water. The little parasol hill here, that comes from the summer decor pack, those that don't know. And I have no idea where that comes from. I suspect it's from one of the summer beach decor packs, maybe the one with the surfboards or something. That doesn't look like anything I've seen lately. I'm kind of out of the building scene myself for a while, so there's bound to be some things that I'm like, what is that from? We'll go to the main building here probably last. I'm go to the sides and stuff first. So over here, again, it's snowy hills, and then we have our first little kind of like man-made beach with the water. So they even have a little water volleyball going on here. Those are broom handles, 2x4s for the top part of the net, and then the base of it is the Osun graded floor, I think, that you can get from Arctera. Relatively early, I think you can get access to it, so it doesn't take too much reputation or whatever. The little island here, little swimmy thing, is purple pillows. Here's one of those surfboards. The water here, I think, is one of the newer waterfalls, and they've just got it really oversized, and I think it's the base of one turned upside down. So that's why when you go below it, it changes a little bit. This little buoy thing, again, I think it's one of those newer items. I have no idea what it's called or anything. Looks cute, but I guess this is supposed to be the water slide. Come down. Notice how they had to carefully do the waterfall so that it goes down the bottom of the tube. That's very difficult to do, to line it up just right. I've tried it myself a few times in other instances. The parasols, again, are the bowls, but they've inset plates inside these, and then using the sparking wires, and then the porthole windows for the base of them. Again, this is the tribal mats, rolled and unrolled. For the little trays, those are just decking pieces, a short one. The beach towels, rolled and unrolled, along with the beach balls, the little ice chest here, and they probably got a Barbie somewhere. Those are all from the summer decor pack. Got a little pair of changing rooms. It's just the tiki roofs with the wood dividers. And some of that new surfboard decor. Get like one each of a set. So if you want multiples of the same one, you'll have to buy multiples of the set. I don't know if those are going to be permanently on the shop or if they're only going to be bringing them out for each summer. So if you haven't gotten them, Now might be a good time to get them before summer ends. I think we got like a week left. These bits here, I guess it's supposed to be like a little, uh, like a gate kind of thing. Those are the detonators. This here is, I think it's called the Winterfest emblem. It looks, to me, it looks like a little racing helmet if you look at it from the top, and this is the bottom of it. The sign, of course, is just a 2x4 and the warning sign. And then, of course, we can go down the water slide out into the water. The mossy bits you see here, those are the thinker skulls. It's the back side of it. Let's see what else is out here. This here is from the LOP collection, the string lights. You also get like the Kurg and one of the LOP buildings and some boxes and crates and stuff. Notice the little seats here. Those are, I think it's swirly stones with a green pillow on top. Now there's actually some stone seats, I think it's called the Grannock chair, that are actually functional. But I don't know how they would work if you put a cushion on top of them. I don't know if it switches off the functionality if you do that or not, but it's something somebody can test. Welcome back, Faye. Again, we'll go into the main building shortly. I'm just going to finish looking around these peripheral islands here. A lot of work went into the staircases and stuff with all of these stones. Here's the water source for the pool coming from one of the trees. Little lookout here. Again, great view of the rest of the plot, unobscured. Again, all these little sections of ground are upside down snowy hills, and they've just encased them in stone in different ways. Oh gosh, I'm probably gonna fall here, but we all know how wonderful I am at jumping. Ugh. Thankfully, this one isn't too far spaced. This here, I want to say it's one of those marine swords or something. They just sunk it down, but I really don't know what this is or what it's supposed to represent. If it's somebody's grave that I'm walking on, I have no idea. Thank goodness these aren't so. So here we have what I presume to be like little cabanas for those that are staying at the beach. The roofing are triangles, and then they've trimmed the seams of them with pillars, kind of make it look almost like a parasol top. The walls are made of those tribal mats. I've seen a lot of folks use them in that way for that kind of a texture bit. They've use of the domes for chairs. Oh, my stomach is like growling like crazy. Got its own little pool here, very fancy. Some glass 2x4s for the trimming. Winding river, I guess, there. And then a little jacuzzi as well. Okay, I'm trying to get it to the wrong side here. Here we go. Using that taurine head statue, and then having the water come out of the eyes and the little third eye there too. Archway. Nice little ceiling up. It kind of like hides the where the pieces meet. Just kind of like makes it look a little cleaner with the use of the 2x4s blocking that in. That there, I want to say, is uh, that training pillar thing. I'm not positive on that. Very fancy bedroom. You've got, it's not aquariums, but kind of like a terrarium scene with different plants and bits spotlighted on both sides. And has a little bit of a water feature in it. Very fancy. The bed is, I believe this is a folded shirt for the middle part where the blanket is. And then the headboard and the base is snow blocks, the curved bits. And then this is either a dome or a cylinder piece with some curved walls back of this here. Again, decking piece for a little tray for the drinks. See the interior of that roof that we saw from the outside. And we have another little kind of balcony thing going on. This is just a tree table. It's been sunk down so that you don't see the roots. Just like one residence here, two pieces joined. And then last little bit here, the lounge area. Again, upside down snowy hill, stones, different kinds of trees. I mean, some of them are probably potted plants. Got the little horn there to call somebody. A great shot for, you know, like screenshotting a little island collection. Great view. Unless you're one like myself that's not good with heights, and throws you off a little bit. Okay, let's see if we can get back safely. You see a little bit of the border right there, just a little bit. Oop. one other little island here, and this is presumably for those that, I guess this is be like a hover boat kind of thing. They've got one of the hammocks or a couple of the hammocks set in, so it looks like it's got some kind of hover functionality to the gondola here. Notice the root here sticking out. That's that umbrella tree. They're using it actually as an umbrella tree, but that's the problematic root that usually shows when someone uses it upside down trying to make some ground. Like how this is kind of broken off. Okay, so the last building is the main one on the center island here, the largest one. That would be, go to it from this side here. We've got a little deck part for those that want to eat outside. Again, these are the round brown table that has the really super long legs. It looks much better when you kind of sink it down and shorten it up. As opposed to that gaudy, long-legged thing. The roof is similar in structure to the little cabanas, the cabana building that we just visited, but it's also trimmed in rain gutters. You've got decking railing here, stones for some of the pillar support, all the corners here, lots of framed glass for the big windows. Again, lots of stones here. And notice how it's trimmed. It appears to be trimmed with wood. Entrance. These little flower beds. Looks like the edges of some of the walls, like Cassian wall or something, is one of those. And I want to say that this here is the dirt is Draken walls, but I honestly don't know. It's not quite as splotchy as I usually see it, but it's kind of hard to see. But that's usually the dirt that's used because it has that mottled textured look to it. Over here we have the bar countertop kind of thing. An aquarium, just curved glass. And of course, with the aquarium, we've always said that moving plants and those kind of things help add to the illusion that there's water in the tank. So having that little bit of like space suite moving around is nice. I think that's the only thing that's moving though. For this little bar thing, it's just the tiki bars with the cylinder inset and then the beer tap coming down. The little kitchen, fairly straightforward. I think more than anything that's impressive about this is just the layout of the building itself. Again, tiki bar base of this here. Bathroom, 2x4s, Oran floors, windows, calcium floors, bathroom sinks. For the doors here and the stalls themselves, I think that's all travel poster. The tiki torches, I think that comes from I think it's just the tiki torches themselves. I don't remember them having such big flames, but part of it. Again, the string lights, those are from the LOP decor pack. Upper floor looks to be like maybe some kind of a hotel motel kind of thing. As this looks like a register counter check-in. So we have one room here. Probably the bed is the most impressive part of it. It's mostly pillars, um, sleeping bags, of course the curtains, and you've got the little balcony here. I really dislike this light. So bright and kind of out of place there. And that double cone look, I think it's too bright. It looks more like a spotlight to me. That's just my opinion though. In a smaller sort of room, no balcony for it, but a nice window view of the entrance there. I think the bed's pretty much the same setup. Again, notice how they're using those tribal mats for textured part of the wall. There you go. I don't know if there's any access to like a bunker house of any sorts. I suspect not, just because of how it looks. But like, I think it would be over in here somewhere, down below the stone. Like if you look at your map, it'd be like in this. Okay, we're off course here. So it's like underneath here somewhere is where it would be, but I suspect the glass has us up above the ground just enough where can't actually access it. Be down here somewhere, because the glass is up high enough where it's almost practically level with the entrance platform. So there's a bit of a gap there. But it's an amazing, I want to use the wrong words. It's not feature, effect, I think is the word I'm looking for. Having the ground completely whited out to make it look like it's a full-on sky if you're completely out in the middle of nowhere with nothing around. So uh, again, we've seen this done. I think there's at least 4 or 5 plots in the past that we've toured with similar setups. But you can see how each one has had its own kind of different character. I think one of them is used as a personal residence. They've got some side islands with like gardens and things like that. But the main island in the very back, I think it was, had the house. And then part of it had like a little like vegetable garden and patio and the actual house itself. And then another one, I think it was based on a theme of some kind of a game or something, and it had bits that replicated from screenshots and stuff from the game. So, you know, really anything kind of goes with that if you want to make it look natural. But I like the idea of having this sky beach kind of thing going on, kind of an unusual approach. So yeah, that was by Tenebrae, Ufferlicht. I think is how you say it. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed these particular little builds. Different approaches. This one's more kind of like a summer resort, as opposed to the other one being more like a little town or city kind of build. Uh, both have great little aspects of custom building. You know, that's a big thing that we like to showcase on this stream is how to look at objects that you get as a straight up um, item and look at it in a different way to use it in the way not everybody would expect. Um, like this here, that's an upside down uh, barnacle weed being used as brown dirt. You know, it's not terribly uncommon, but it's, you know, just using that item in a different way. And that's kind of what we like to showcase here. And obviously different approaches to how one would treat your plot. I think this would not be a prime candidate for a community build unless every single community part was willing to behave as if they were floating in the open sky. I don't know how that works as far as the bleed over goes from the glass. Maybe if they just make the glass larger to cover the entire community, that would work. I'm not really sure. But the other one where there wasn't any kind of borders and stuff, that one is definitely a candidate to easily be worked into a community setup. So yeah, again, reminder next week, the homecoming update is landing. So prepare yourselves if you are into the housing uh, side of things. Now's the time to prepare. There is a contest or a competition that Carbine is hosting. Um, up to 5 players can be on a team, and there will be team registrations. More information on that will be incoming in the next day or so, next day to 2 days, 3 days, somewhere around that. So if you're looking or considering getting in on this competition, um, now's the time to be, you know, talking amongst your housing buddies, your guild mates, and everything, and see about who you might want to team up with. Like I said, you don't have to have exactly 5 players. It's up to 5. So um, keep that in mind. If you only have a couple of buddies that you want to work with, the 3 of you can set up a 3-man team and register. And again, I don't know any of the rules and stuff. All of that information I think will come as far as when the details are released. I don't know if they're going to be having a particular theme, um, or if I just have absolutely no idea. I don't know what, you know, prizes might be available. Hopefully there's some good ones that will encourage people to get into it, just on the chance of possibly winning. But I think in the past when they've had housing competitions, some of it's housing like decor and stuff, but I've seen, I think for like the Shadesy one, they gave out mounts and things like that. So something to keep in mind if you're interested. But yeah, be on the lookout. And of course, as soon as that is released, I will link that up on the Twitch channel page. I'm also going to be on the lookout for a guide of some sort for those of us like myself that haven't really been following the communities on the PTR, and not really sure how to get into it, how much money it's going to cost, um, how it works as far as who's the leader of the community and who can be invited or not invited, and that kind of thing. So, you know, like permissions, who can build on what part of the plot and that kind of stuff. So we'll see if I can find a really good um, up-to-date guide on that. I'll be linking to that as well. I know there was one for the PTR, but I don't know how up to date it is. So I'll see if they've maybe moved it over or updated it enough to qualify for a good guide to follow for those that haven't been following along from the get-go. But yeah, that is next week, next Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. So that means next Wednesday will be the last time we'll be streaming, where it might just be one single houses. I suspect there's already some builders that are prepped and ready to join up plots and quickly adjust and be ready for showing off their communities fairly quick. Others may actually start from scratch or take a bit longer in remodeling some existing plots. So hopefully we'll be able to start showcasing some of these communities on the stream in the near future. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the update is smoothly incorporated and there's not too many hiccups that come along with it. Yeah. So thanks guys for joining. I hope these plots gave you some new fresh ideas, or at least kind of got you bitten with the building bug. I have to admit, for the last couple of months I've been kind of off the building stretch, but I've kind of got some ideas running through my head the last week or two. So I'm going to be jotting down some notes. And no guarantee if I'm actually going to start streaming some extra streams just to show off what I'm doing or not, but we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to get too into it just yet because I still have trouble with health issues from time to time, which does kind of put a wrench in things. But yeah, the price is pretty steep, 50 plat, 600 service tokens. That's a lot. But again, I think Carbine had the idea that it wasn't just going to be a single person doing a community, that they were expecting people to work together. So if you're splitting the price between, 5 players, in theory, that would be a little bit easier to swallow. But yeah. Seriously, Bones? I must be really stingy. I tend to not buy too much. So I've got a bit of a nest egg. I could probably comfortably afford it on my own if I wanted, but I don't want to. It's just sounds like a lot. Yeah. So anyway, thanks guys for joining. Appreciate the tweets, the retweets, the follows, the word of mouth, and the general support in helping like finding new plots to tour. Because again, we love taking suggestions from our viewership to for places that haven't been toured yet and they think they deserve a look. I'm happy to come and give them some attention too. Again, we do this every week. We alternate between the regions, and it doesn't matter what faction as well. Generally speaking, I probably spend, it's not that I mean to, but I think I spend the majority of my time on the exile side. But we do visit Dominion plots as well. I think I have to remember to switch characters so that the Dominion plots come up on the random visitor. So don't think that's set for cross-faction per se. But yeah, in the meantime, good luck with your projects. If you're planning to get into the competitions and or joining in the community effort anyway, regardless of the competition, I wish you much luck and would love to get a poke from any of you that are putting anything together so that I can jot you down for future touring. And hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay safe wherever you happen to be. And see you next week. See you later. Bye-bye.